Welcome to the show, viewers. We're here today to talk about a massive acquisition, and it's Media and Games Invest Group that is the one buying. And with us to discuss all this, we have the CEO, Remco Westman. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you. Now, as I said, the topic of today is this massive acquisition. You're buying a company called KingsIsle Entertainment. But before we get there, could you please describe just briefly what is Media and Games Invest?
Yeah, Media and Games Invest, also short form MGI as we call it, which is a bit easier to talk, is a gaming company. Actually, the original company before it was Gamigo, that was founded in the year 2000, so we are in the market a long time. But 8 years ago, I took over with some managers, and since then we have been transforming Gamigo into a large gaming company via buy and build strategy. So we did now over 30 acquisitions in the last, less than 6 years actually it is, bringing the acquisitions together. We're focusing on so-called massive multiplayer games, which are games where many people play together. Most of them are actually online PC games, but we also do them on console and also starting to do them on mobile. Players are in there, play together. It's extremely strong community, so they call each other. We were yesterday. So we see games that have lifetimes, which is really amazing, of far over 10 years, with players in there also being there for partly from start and for many years. So it's really communities playing together, extremely long-term revenue streams, of course, that makes us very interesting as a company. So we have a very strong cash flow behind under the company, and have been growing quite fast. So the last 6 years been growing with 40%, more than 40% year on year, and becoming bigger, economies of scale. It's all working. And we started also to add a media unit to become stronger on customer acquisition. So that's one of the things that differentiates us. We're integrating the companies that we acquire, and we focus, of course, very strongly on organic growth, which is launching new games, but also the games that we have in the portfolio, like Trove, like ArcAge, like now KingsIsle, to really improve the games and to further grow the communities in there. So that's in a nutshell what we're doing. Gaming company. And team of over 700 people now, and strong focus actually on Europe and America, where America is the biggest part of our market. So over 50% of our revenues is in North America, and over 1/3 in Europe, and the rest is the rest of the world. So that's in a nutshell what we're doing.
Thanks for that nutshell, Remco. Now, you mentioned that you're almost a conglomerate consisting of 30 different companies that you've acquired over the years. To start with explaining what KingsIsle Entertainment is, could you start in the order of size? How big is it compared to your other companies?
Yeah, KingsIsle is, let's say I said, we have done over 30 acquisitions. We don't keep the company standalone, so we are integrating them where it makes sense. If you have a good team, we leave the team, but still you can do integration on technology side, on a lot of things to improve it. KingsIsle is the largest transaction that we so far have done. And that is, we expect a revenue for 2021 of over 30 million with it, with over 20 million EBITDA. So it's an extremely high EBITDA percentage, so over 60%. So it's a very big transaction. If you would compare the first 9 months of 2020, then because those figures are published, then it would have added 60% to our EBITDA. So we can say it's a transformative transaction for us, bringing us at a much higher level, and also, of course, bringing additional synergies into the group, and vice versa. I mean, we have great technology contracts, which KingsIsle will profit from, but also with the team, we're getting in a lot of know-how, a lot of things that we can further roll out. And a lot of potential in the games. I mean, they're mostly 90% of the revenues is at the moment in the US. So there is a lot of potential outside the US with KingsIsle. With the games of KingsIsle.
Can you elaborate a bit on the synergies of this merger?
Yeah, synergies, as said before, critical mass scale is one. The larger you get as a gaming company, the more efficient you get. The other thing is, for example, platforms. The KingsIsle games, just to give the names also of the games, and please play them. It's Wizard 101 and Pirate 101, so they're built on the same game engine, but are different games, one with wizards and the other one with pirates, as the name already say. But they are only for PC at the moment. And what we as a group are doing is indeed bringing games multi-platform. We believe that it doesn't make sense to have a game only on one platform. So what will certainly be done is to bring the games to consoles. And for example, Switch would be extremely suitable for the game genre, but also to mobile. And so those are things, that's a big synergy. Then, of course, on the customer basis, we have a big customer base or a potential customer base also in Europe, which is not yet really tapped. Asia is a big opportunity also for the games. And and then as I said, on the cost side also, there are some synergies that we have to look into, like the technology cost and those kind of things. So ample synergies, but it's a great company we're adding, great games that we're adding. So we're really happy with the transaction.
Now, one thing that I have to ask you when you're buying a large company like this is the timeline. When can you outline the start from today and on the end day when it's fully integrated into Media and Games Invest?
Yeah, when we do acquisitions, for this one, but also for other ones, already in an early stage, we try to get as much as possible in contact with the management and start discussing them. I mean, we are as a whole company a patchwork family, so we have been integrating so many people and so many teams in the company. So it's very important to use the know-how and not just tell the new company what they could do better. So it's together with each other. And for a team integration, we typically take up to 6 months, but we start integrating, let's say, the management roles, who is reporting to whom, and so it's basically done from start. But there are some things that might take a bit longer. But we try to do team, let's say, those integration as fast as possible. And it doesn't mean that we change everybody's role suddenly or so. If there's a good running team, it makes absolutely sense. But for example, customer support, they have a customer support team. If they are, let's say, not able to handle peaks, which sometimes happens with certain companies, we have a big global team that can do more languages, but it can also handle peaks for them, for example. So that would be an example. The part that takes a bit longer on the integration side is technology. And that doesn't mean that we, let's say, change everything on the technology side also. But for example, different cloud contracts, all those kind of things to change those. So typically for technology, we take 6 to maximum 12 months to have also that part done. So in principle, the company should be, let's say, fully part of the group after maximum 12 months.
Now, and for the customers, will this mean any specific changes during these months that you're integrating KingsIsle Entertainment? Will there be any delay of patches in KingsIsle's portfolio?
No, for the customers, I mean, the customers are the most important. It's all about the gamers and making the gamers happy. Of course, there's also always different opinions amongst the gamers about what makes them happy, so that's something that you need to cope with. Now, we believe in gaming as a service and also discussing changes with the gamer community. In the end, we have to take decisions, of course, and not everybody is always happy, but most of the people should be happy with those. And also in this case, there is a huge player base that most of them are really happy. But there are certainly improvements that we can do. And of course, we are going to try to speed up, let's say, updates and patches and all those kind of things and improvements in the game. And absolutely not targeting to slow that down, because that would be basically quite stupid.
I'm glad to hear that as well. Now, let's move over to the financial stuff instead. How much are you paying for it and how are you paying for it?
Yeah, we have an 126 million fixed payment for the company, where part of it is paid immediately at closing and the other part over a period of 18 months. And then there is an earn-out component, which, let's say, is adding to that, which is paid depending on the revenue targets that are met. And the maximum earn-out that we would pay is 84 million, but then the revenue of the company also will grow extremely fast. So realistically, we might not pay the full earn-out, but we expect further growth. So the games of KingsIsle have been growing pretty well last year. Corona was part of that, but only part of it. We expect further growth. There's good updates. There's a good plan also for further updates in the games. So we also expect very nice growth in 2021. And that might also mean that we have to pay some of this earn-out.
Now, I noticed when I read the memo about the acquisition that a name popped up, Oaktree Investment, I think they're called, and they're taking a large portion of the capitalization. Can you tell me who they are?
Yeah, maybe because that was the question you asked before. How do we finance it? So we have issued a bond, and we did a small capital increase a few months ago. And so that's one. We have positive cash flow from our operations, so we have pretty good cash, let's say, to finance deals like this. But in this case, to make it happen fast and also to pay a substantial part of the purchase price already in the beginning, we had to do a quick capital increase, and there we agreed with Oaktree Capital, which is a private equity company. They're pretty large. They have huge number of billions under management, and alone their European fund that is investing now has over $1 billion of free capital. They're taking a minority share, and that's also very well meant. So they're coming on board as a cornerstone investor, but they were able to act very quick, which might also in the future help in some deals. But they are not meant to, let's say, start really guiding the company or managing the company. So they will just be a minority cornerstone investor. And we know them for a few years. They're nice. They know the gaming market very well. Also the media part. They like the combination of media and gaming. And as such, strategically, I think they are a good sparring partner. But so are also other cornerstone investors that we have. Only maybe with the difference that Oaktree also has a good grip on M&A possibilities. So we also expect them to help us a bit on our pipeline.
But mainly you're saying that they're not going to be particularly active investors, but rather just keep their cornerstone. Can you talk to me a bit about agreements on lockup? Do they have to hold shares any specific time?
Yeah, we have put in, let's say, in half year a hard lockup, and then we have let's say, agreement with them. Their investment horizon is 3 to 5 years, so that's basically the period they would anyway stay on board. And we hope to convince them, as we hope to convince other investors, of course, that we are doing so well on our growth and value generation for investors that they will stay more than that. I mean, I'm doing this now for 8 years. With a lot of fun, and we've been more than tenfolding the revenues now in those 10 years, and we're getting only faster. And I think it's also what we see, let's say, more and more investors like the story, and we hope to convince them by performance more than by contracts and all these kind of things.
And you mentioned that they're good at doing mergers and acquisitions. Can we expect more acquisitions moving forward?
Yeah, Media and Games Invest we are a buy and build story, as in the introduction said. So we did over 30 M&A transactions already in the last a bit over 6 years, and we are targeting 5 acquisitions per year. Let's say with 3 we're also happy, but rather 5. Also now with larger size, I think we will do more acquisitions. What I also see that when we grow bigger, also our acquisitions get a bit bigger or larger, as you see on this one as well. In the beginning, we started with mostly doing distress cases. We're now also, let's say, getting into profitable cases, as this one also shows. And it's all about what you pay for it also. I mean, it needs to be a good deal. What we see now in the gaming market, that some people are really paying very high prices for acquisitions. We are a bit more careful on that, so we would like to have multiples that are acceptable. So if we buy EBITDA positive, we have a target that we pay maximum 6 times EBITDA, taking into account the synergies. And also if you look at KingsIsle, we're paying now 6 times EBITDA for it. So that's really a nice deal, and it's very accretive then also for the shareholders and everybody. But we see the gaming market heating up a bit, let's say the M&A market for games, but especially on the side of gaming companies over 50 million revenues, and even more if it's a mobile company. And we try to really target a bit under it and rather do a few more acquisitions and maybe not totally that large.
Remco, it's been so interesting to hear you talk about this. I'd love to just include our viewers as well. We've gotten a question from one of the viewers who's asking, what is your 5-year long-term plan and vision with MGI?
5 years is so far away. Let's say we look at 3-year plans. We are not in that sense really looking at 5 years, but what we have as a target is really very clearly to grow at targeting 30% growth per year. Historically, we have been doing more than that. I think also in the future we can do more than that, but we don't want to overpromise here. Very important also to be in a 20 to 25% EBITDA range, which we have been largely keeping or getting more into it now with the KingsIsle transaction. We will certainly be into that range. We are also having a certain leverage, so having some bonds out there. So we try to keep our leverage between 2 and 3, which is a good thing between dilution and risk. And so that's basically the targets we are looking at. And we want to continue to grow. There's so much opportunity in the gaming market, and it's a cool market to be in. I mean, it's really to work in a gaming company is cool. And if you see the growth opportunities, I mean, the market is growing itself already by more than 10% per year. And if you see how many M&A candidates are out there and how many game launches we can also do, it's very exciting. The only thing that we still don't do is developing games ourselves, at least not from scratch. So we do further development of games where we have the IP, we improve those games. But we don't do from scratch development because launching a game is quite risky. Developing a game is much more risky. And we think we are still too small for that. So we, first of all, want to get in a bigger size, and then we might also start doing some from scratch game development. But I hope that answers the question somehow, but 5 years is so far away. I mean, we're doing that now 8 years and have been growing pretty fast. And that's what we want to do. But it's all about profitable growth and not just growth at any price.
I think you answered the question pretty well, but you said something interesting here about you don't develop your own games, you improve the games that you've already bought. Do you have any plan for the KingsIsle games yet?
Yeah, KingsIsle games are cool games. They're also, let's say, many years in the market, which of course, if you acquire a company, makes the risk much lower because you can see the cohorts and how they develop, and you see that the players are happy, or if would maybe not be happy, but in this case they are happy. So the risk of acquisition is low, but of course, and that's the reason that the gaming market is consolidating. As a larger company, you have more opportunities. So that's one of the things that, of course, we will see that we further improve the games. But the team has been doing a great job already. They have made new graphics on the game, and there's many updates there. But we will try to speed that up to do more updates and see where we can improve the games. But then an important point is internationalization. As I said, 90% of the revenues comes from the US now. So that's something where we can really work on and will be working on. And then the other thing is bringing it on different platforms. And Switch is one that we have internally already been discussing. We would love to bring Wizard and also Pirates on Switch.
It's going to be so exciting to follow your journey ahead. Thank you so much for tuning into the show today, Remco.
Thank you very much, Martin. Thanks.
And thank you, viewers, as well. I'll bid you good night, and I'll see you again short.